the beginning of the company. I don't know how much is Hasbro worth. I have a number here, $5 billion. Is that correct?
No, we do about $5 billion, 4.8 in sales. It's a worth on the stock market today about $13 billion. We are all over the world, and we have wonderful partners. I'm so proud of the way things have progressed because again, it was my grandfather who came over from Poland and I think landed around in the early 1900s. He came with his brother. They landed at Ellis Island. They had nothing. When I say they didn't speak English, they had maybe 2 nickels, and there was some distant relative that took them in, and they literally sold rags on the street. And the way they moved to Rhode Island was Rhode Island in the early 1900s was a textile capital because of the rivers. And, our first toy, ended up being a doctor kit. We made hat liners, we made pencil boxes, and that led to a doctor kit. And the first major toy that really put us on the map was one little Mr. Potato Head. Now, Potato Head and I don't get along. Everybody knows that.
It's a rival between Mr. Potato Head.
No, Potato Head thought he should have been chairman and CEO, and that I was nobody. He's right. But anyway, then after my grandparents, my grandfather and his brothers, my father and his brother took over. One went to Tennessee with the pencil business. We stayed north with the toy business. And after Dad died in '79, my brother took over. Steve was a genius. He was really the architect of the modern toy industry, licensing, TV programs, and things like that. But we really believed in looking for evergreen properties that could stand the test of time. So it's one of those wonderful stories where my ancestors really came totally from nothing. And for me, the important thing, I took over from Stevie in '89 on his death. And then in 2003, I had a heart attack in '98. And I had decided I didn't want to stay forever. How do I make sure we perpetuate Hasbro? Because I'd seen so many other toy companies go by the wayside. And so when I sort of planned my own demise, didn't know what it was going to be like. And my most trusted lieutenant at the time was Al Verrecchia. I passed the baton to Al in 2003. But at the same time, had hired Brian Goldner in 2000 with the hope. Brian was an incredible talent coming out of advertising world in Bandai, a Japanese toy company, and with the hope that after 5 years, Al wouldn't pass the baton to Brian. And so we are probably one of the most fortunate companies in the world in the sense we've passed the baton twice now outside of the family, and it's worked. And Brian has been spectacular as a CEO and chairman. My job right now in what I do at Hasbro, desperate to make sure the family culture and ethic and morality remains. Do we do things wrong? Yep. But I have a saying, problems are like ice cream cones. If you don't lick them quickly, they become very messy.
Yeah.
And so everyone follows that philosophy. If you got a problem, tell people what the problem is. How did it happen? What you're going to do to fix it, and then shut up. But too often people basically give out 10% of the problem, thinking that they can stick their head in the sand. Don't do that. Tell people what it is. They'll listen. You want to be out of the news. You don't want to be in the news every day with a little bit more and a little bit more that you have to say.
Those are culture and CEO leadership traits that a lot of businesses try to follow. Number one, it's very unique to have a family-owned business with family members there, passing it to someone outside of the family. They usually keep it there, no matter how terrible the family may be at running the business, which is interesting, and always looking for the next leader. that's also important, and the culture of a company. Everyone talks about that today. And a lot of employees look for companies with great culture to work for, regardless of the paycheck.
One of the most important things that we do, and this goes a little bit to philanthropy, I have always had a passion that you have to give back. If you're fortunate enough to be successful, how much is enough? But in giving back, you must be strategic in how you give back. And we created, I don't know if we were the first or one of the first, but we created something called what I call the triple threat. And the triple threat was, yes, companies give philanthropy. A lot of times in the old days, it used to be the CEO's wife wanted to be on the board of the army, forgetting that. But you can give philanthropy, but giving in kind. And in our case, it's much easier because whether it's orphanages, foster care, conflict zones, we're able to send toys anywhere in the world to children in dire need. But they have to be in need. But the third thing, which I think we were one of the first, was we give our people paid 4 hours a month to do volunteerism in the community. And I have, as you know, been a part of Salesforce.com since the beginning. And when Mark Benioff, who's the incredible creative genius of Salesforce, when Mark heard me speak at Aspen, we became close friends, and I explained this whole concept. And he now has what's called the 111, which is the same thing, but all of his employees are giving back time into the community. And the reason that's so important is when people see that a company really has heart. It's easy to mouth words, but people see through mouthing words today. But if they see that the company really has heart, that has people staying at a company. In other words, it's a bond. I can remember every year we used to bring our people together near the Christmas time, and we'd bring some of the people we were funding, whether it was a nun from Appalachia, whether it was Operation Smile, and we would video their presentation. It wouldn't be long, explaining what they did and how we were involved. Because it's not only important that your people love the company or believe in what the company is doing, but we also wanted the families. So everyone got a disc to take home if they wanted to show it, so they would be proud of where their husband or where their wife worked.